Hello everyone. Rovio released its Q3 results today, and we're going to go through the results and some other topics with Rovio CEO Alex Pelletier-Normand today. So great to have you here again on the video, Alex. And would you like to first tell about Rovio's Q3 and how was the key games performing?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me again. It's been a good Q3 for us. We had stable results from our live games portfolio. So, and I have to mention as well, we're back to work now. Mostly, we have this kind of hybrid working culture going on, and so we get to see more people face to face, which is very energizing. But yeah, the quarter has been going pretty well. Our live games were stable. If we were talking, for instance, about Angry Birds 2, Angry Birds Dream Blast, which are our two biggest games, have been stable both quarter over quarter and year over year. So that's always good. And then Angry Birds Friends continued to do super well, right? They grew 5 million year over year so far. They had their best quarter since I think it was Q2 2017. So it's going very well there, and the team keep the game live with a lot of nice events. We had two partnerships recently with the World Health Organization. One of them was, about the importance of keeping healthy during the, work from home situation. And the second one was about mental health. So it's just great to be able to use this game and the reach that those games have to, bring awareness to important topics like that. So it's been very good for those games. We did reduce the scale of Small Town Murders and Dogfire Heroes. So we reduced marketing investments, and as a result, the revenues declined a bit. And the other thing that I want to mention is Angry Birds Reloaded, right? So that's our project that we released on Apple Arcade. It's been doing very well, very stable as well. So it's nice to have those incremental revenues as well.
Yeah. Can you still open up a little bit more about those new games? So you said that Darkfire Heroes is now put on maintenance mode and you will not be developing it further. Still, it's quite a new game, and also you scaled down the Small Town Murders UA. So what's the reason behind these actions?
Yeah, good question. And I think, those two cases are very different. So we need to talk about them independently. So Small Town Murder, it's just that recently the CPIs have been increasing. So it's more expensive to acquire a user. At the same time, the LTV, so the revenues that the users are bringing in the game, were quite stable. So we're very strict in terms of governance for our UA investment. It needs to pay back within a year's time. So that equation didn't work for now. So we paused the UA investment, but now the team is really working on, making the game better. So this LTV goes up and we're able to, continue those investments. So this is just a bit of a, reduction of UA for now. Whereas for Darkfire Heroes, the situation is different. So that was a new genre for us. Really a mid-core game, more niche audience, higher CPIs. Of course, the IDFA deprecation situation really, didn't help for those type of games. We were not able to reach the scale that we wanted. And I think in a case like that, there's really two things that are important. You said that, we released it recently, right? But it's important that you don't linger too much. When you see that those results are not there, you're not going to achieve your result, then you need to be, to look at the game very candidly and reduce the cost. So that's what we did. We cut UA, we reduced the size of the team working on it. And then the second thing is that you need to start a new project building on your expertise that you acquired, right? So that the next one is better. So that's exactly what the team is doing right now. They're at the beginning of a new project. But the Darkfire Heroes will stay online. We keep it in what we call lean maintenance. So there's low cost there. We do have a player base that is very loyal to the game. So we're going to continue to update the game for them.
All right. Still a question about that. You in the earlier of this year, you said that you want to expand to the strategy and RPG genre, but now you're like getting a little bit back to the so-called mid-casual. So can you open up this strategic shift?
Well, thank you for asking the question. I think it's an important one. So we do want to continue doing strategy games and RPG games, right? So for instance, the next game that our Copenhagen team is going to work on will most likely have very strong RPG elements. That said, each time we're doing those games, we want to stay true to our core of having wide audiences, right? And being very accessible as, as brands and games that we're making. So we're not saying that we're not going to incorporate those important elements. We're just saying that we want to make those games very accessible. And as a result, it also kind of lowers the CPIs as well. It makes them easier for us to scale. And as I explained as well earlier during the earnings call, it's really good to have many games like that in the portfolio because you can cross-reference them. Right. So when you acquire one user for a game, you can then more easily shift them towards game, and that makes you way more efficient.
All right. Then about Ruby Games acquisition, how is the integration proceeding, and could you give us a little update on their games portfolio? I think it's changing pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, this is a market that is moving so fast, and we're very happy with the acquisition. So as you know now, we completed the first phase. There's different phases of acquisition, and the price that we pay will depend on the result. So we acquired now 20% of the company. It's just important to know that we have a shareholders agreement in place, so we effectively have control on the company, even though we have this 20%. And they're still, very active. They've been successful. They've released a game again that reached the #1 download position in the US. And now, the big thing for them is that they're working on Hunter Assassins 2. Hunter Assassin 1 was one of the most downloaded game in 2020. So this one is different. It's, if you have on the one side those hyper casual games and on the other side, those casual games that Rovio is really good at, then it's a little bit in the middle, right? It's what we call hybrid casual. So those games have deeper monetization, deeper, retention mechanics than a hyper casual game. So we can really help them, with that because it's really our wheelhouse.
All right. Then question about the Apple versus Epic Games trial, which has been quite a big topic lately. How do you think it's going to affect Rovio's business if Apple is forced to allow gaming companies to direct their players to the third-party payment options?
Yeah, that was an interesting thing to follow. There's never a dull day in our industry. So, I think independently of what's going on there, keep in mind that both Rovio and Angry Birds have a very loyal, large group of fans, and they were asking us to work on something like a fidelity program that could include a web shop, for instance. So if some of them are playing many games from Rovio at the same time, they can benefit from such a program. So this was already in dev. Now, we're working on this, and once this is up and running, we will see at that point what are the policies from Apple. Of course, we're going to respect those policies, to the letter. And if we can do it, then we will, redirect to our web shop from the game. This is in development and should be released somewhere in H1 next year.
All right, that's interesting. And then the final question, could you give us a quick update on your soft launch games and other growth initiatives? You just opened up a new studio in Toronto.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 2 games now in soft launch. We have Supernatural City, we have Angry Birds Journey. I would say that in all likelihood, we're closer to the launch window for Angry Birds Journey. We're testing the scale right now. So we're at the very end of the soft launch where we see how big a game it can be. So far, we're about, 2 million a quarter in scale in soft launch, which is, we think is encouraging. So that would be probably the next one. We have the Moomin games also in development that will hit soft launch before the end of the year. So that's very interesting, very exciting. Overall, we have 8 games in different stages of development. And yes, as you said, we did open a studio in Toronto recently. It's our 7th studio, which is very exciting when I think about it, because at the beginning of 2020, we had 3 studios, right? So now at 7. But of course, we found this amazing studio head, Julie Beaugrand. She has a lot of experience, 11 years in the industry. She led studios doing, casual, mobile, free-to-play games. She works with big IPs as well. So the fit was great. But, at this stage, she has to find the core team. They have to start working on the game. So it will take, several months before, we're ready to talk about this again. But very exciting times.
All right. Thank you so much for the interview, Alex.
Pleasure.